Our signature product, I think maybe a lot of you are aware of, it's a life-size die-cut wall decal that is self-adhesive, movable, and reusable. But it is one of 12 different products that we make just for sale on the web, and that's only half our business. We also do a ton of things for B2B, including decking out warehouses, athletic facilities, casinos, all kinds of things. But above all, we create products that are versatile, vivid, unique, and evocative. We are in the business of making people happy. And as a company, we embrace passion, authenticity, innovation, and quality. So a lot of our products are officially licensed. We have over 500 licenses from all kinds of sports leagues to entertainment companies. So I'm sort of going to start with a few key takeaways, and then we'll sort of see how we got there. Responsive design may or may not be for you. I'll tell you why it worked for us, but it is not the panacea necessarily. But if you're going to go down this road, have an end goal in mind. It might be increasing mobile transactions. It might be continuity of brand across experiences. It might be we just want one code base to manage. Before you start, observe, ask, test, get yourself ready. We spent 6 years learning from our e-commerce business and put all that in place before we started planning. Have a detailed plan. I'll show you what we did. It was extremely detailed. And then make sure you know how you're going to measure this. You know, it's going to change your business probably. Do you have the tools in place to measure it? But you know, in terms of what are KPIs, you know, what percentage of our traffic is doing, how are the different layouts working? So here's the business case that we made. And you'll see peppered throughout here some of our products. You'll also see peppered throughout here some quotations. They are what we call isms. They are the cultural guideposts that inform our business. And so I'll sort of play off some of those as we go along. So we had both brand and technology interests in play with this decision. We had just come off a brand study. In fact, we waited for the results of that brand study before we really dove in. Responsive design was something that then fit our broader needs. We needed to rebrand, and we wanted to create a new website. We did want to roll everything into a single code base. It's just a lot easier to test and manage. And we really wanted our marketing team to be able to manage the site independently and quickly. So as we built our responsive design site, we also made sure that we engaged the marketing team in actually creating pages. And then our mobile traffic was growing really fast, and our MDOT site just didn't cut it. So real quick, this is what our mobile traffic looked like. This is the month of December over the last 4 years. 4% of our traffic in 2009 was coming from mobile devices. A year later, it had nearly doubled, and that was enough for us to say, let's build a mobile site. We needed it in time for the holidays. We did it in 2 weeks using jQuery, and we launched it in early December. A year later, it had tripled again. And by last year, it was 42% of our traffic in December. Now, most of the year, if you combine mobile and tablet, we're at about 38%. But it really goes up in December because people are tracking orders. So the point is, we did not get more mobile visitors because we introduced a responsive web design. We introduced a responsive web design because we were getting more mobile visitors. So these were the features of responsive design that worked for us. Same code base, delivered to all devices, and then it responds to the screen resolution. We don't care what your device is. We care how big your screen is. So we don't have to import all that information. It just goes out and uses a media query and says, oh. So literally, if you pull up our site on a tablet and look at it in landscape, and then you flip it to portrait, it'll redraw the page. We went with a modular design instead of a scalable design. We wanted fixed column widths. They would predictably rearrange, And they would give us the ability to just, it's like having blocks. You just say, this block goes here in this screen size. Move it here in the next screen size. Move it here in the next screen size. Hide it. Show it. Change the navigation. Move this here. It's all on the same page. It just says, it's just going through the HTML and looking for what we're going to hide or show. We are a company that sells images. So we need our images to be up front and as big as possible, even on a phone. A grid system really helps with that. And so we looked around. We saw what other people were doing. We looked into some tools like Bootstrap and Modernizer. We read through Ethan Marcotte's book on responsive web design. And we said, you know what? We can do this ourselves. So we did. So here's the first of our isms. We are obsessed with finding a better way. We do that every day. And so I'll tell you, these are the things over 6 years that we've really, company's about 7 years old, but over the last 6 years, things that we've really focused on. One, be honest. No matter how good your website is, it could be better. It's gonna change anyway. Observe, use your analytics. Review user sessions. If you have something like T-Leaf or ClickTail, use it. Ask your own team. We have a call center. Every 2 weeks, our CEO, our CMO, our CIO, and myself meet with everybody in that call center. What are customers saying? If there's a problem, they're gonna tell us right away. But they'll tell you like, well, I keep having to explain how to upload a photo and they don't understand how many megapixels it has to be. Oh, well, maybe we need to add that. Conduct a brand study. Put out customer surveys. We use 4C. It's huge help. Conduct focus groups. We're a company of about 8,500 people, but we're in a building with thousands of people, and a lot of those people are sister companies of ours. We know them. So we'll say, hey, we need 12 people. We'll give you a free Fathead. Spend 2 hours with us. We want to show you a prototype. They'll be honest. And test. We use both simple A/B campaigns and pretty sophisticated multivariate real-time testing. We do that with a company called High Conversion, and they literally will move traffic for us in real time to winning combinations of elements in our test. Very low risk, very high reward. I think we paid for the service in the first 6 weeks of this year for the entire year, just in the improvements we saw through our checkout funnel. So a little bit more detail on observation. So one of our favorite coaches in Michigan. We're a Detroit-based company, by the way. So Tom Izzo, great winning coach. Are you looking at your key metrics? Are they performing as you need them to? We spend a lot of time looking at revenue per visitor. And when we work with vendors who are getting paid off performance, this is usually the metric that we use. So, what trends are emerging in terms of your traffic, your demographics, your product mix? Obviously, we saw huge increases in mobile traffic, but one of our key products, it's like 15% of our business, is custom Fatheads. People upload their photos, and we turn them into everything from die-cut wall decals to vinyl murals to canvas prints to laptop skins to device cases to big cutouts of people's faces that they take to events. Just got an awesome photograph of an entire wedding party of 20 people with these giant heads. So if you get our email, you'll have seen that in yesterday's email. What are people doing on your site? Where are they falling off? We had a lot of opportunity around search, and we knew that from observing. And then, like I said, what makes somebody pick up the phone? So observe, ask, what's the perception of the brand? Well, for us, the perception was that it was too male. So how does the site address that? Well, we'll better redesign it. That was part of our brand study. Who's buying and who are they buying for? Well, it turns out we had a lot of moms buying. And ask yourself, is it who you think it is? Well, in our case, not so much. Who's the target audience? Well, we weren't really sure anymore. Is there more than one? Turns out there was. How well does the site meet expectations? Well, better for some people than others. How satisfied are the customers? Well, better than average. 4C says for the retail sector, they see about a 69 or 70 out of 100. We do about an 81. I think it was 83 last month. But we're not at the top. And then what makes your customers happy or unhappy? Well, in our cases, they loved our product images, but they were having problems with browsing and search. So then you test. I picked Doc Stuffins as our tester. She has a stethoscope on. Learn before you leap, I would say. You want to. For us, we did a lot of testing on our old site and then incorporated a lot of our findings in the new site. Like I said, we use real-time multivariate testing. If you can't test, I think the biggest thing we've learned from testing is keep things simple. Like the biggest change we made right off the bat when we got a multivariate test partner was we got all the clutter around our add to cart buttons and made them big. All the social stuff got moved. All the display messages got moved. We just cleared up this space. And the great thing about testing is it lets the data talk. It takes the opinion off the table. But you have to be careful because it'll piss off your designers. Because they'll go, well, then you should just put one big button on the page that says buy, right? You have to keep, your brand in mind, right? So we have this discussion all the time. So this is my favorite graphic. This is what I think it's kind of like to redesign a website. Because you have to keep the business moving, but you also have to hit the mark. So if you can imagine that this is sort of like parachuting onto a moving roller coaster, it will make everything else seem a lot easier. So the ism that is one of my favorites is, you'll see it when you believe it. Not the other way around. Have faith in your team, have a goal, and just go for it. So we had two primary objectives. Rebrand to better match our target audience, and create a single code base that would work for all devices. So I talked a little bit about the rebranding. We were focused on life-size wall graphics of sports and entertainment figures. And that was the only product we really focused on, even though we had 11 more. And over the years, we had introduced all of these, and they did not get the level of exposure they needed, and yet our custom business kept growing and growing, and smaller size products were growing and growing. So we did a brand study, and we confirmed that we needed to adjust. We didn't have just super fans. We had casual fans that were buying for themselves or for somebody else or for the kids. We had the family CEO. She holds the wallet. She buys half of our products. We had Wonder Boy. He's an amazing influencer. Did you see that? He sees one of our Clay Matthews commercials, or he sees our commercial with a boy who's surprised on his birthday with a Fathead on the wall, and grandma's on the phone, and mom's taking the video, and dad's just sitting there smiling. We found that on YouTube. We didn't shoot that. We just got permission from the family to use it. And girl power. Keep hearing people saying, why don't you have more female athletes? Well, we need to do something about that. So this is what our homepage used to look like, right? It was big impact. By the way, the fold was about where his belly button was, right? So there wasn't even a call to action button above the fold, except for search. But it wasn't cluttered. It really said, I think at the time our tagline was go big, real big. Our tagline today is for real. Because we're about authenticity, passion. A lot of dead space. Look at this. This was on a 5, widescreen, high definition monitor. I got all this space we're doing nothing with. There was no exposed navigation. There was only one product type. And we were able to geo-target this pretty well. We probably would do 100 different home pages over the course of a year and swap them out during different sports seasons. different geography, but we didn't track it very well. And this was perceived as a very male-oriented site, and we knew that half our visitors were women. And this was the mobile site that we built back in 2010. It was a simple site. It was quick to build jQuery. That was done in-house. Had no impact, didn't show a product. It was a separate site, and we always were like, oh, gotta go update that. And it was a pretty poor e-commerce performer. So these were the design concepts that we put in place. We said we need to fill the screen, not clutter it up, but just use what was there. Make it feel lighter, brighter, more gender neutral. Make an impact, but show more of what we have. Make navigation and search more prominent. Build the site around a grid system that could be easily managed and updated. Create a fluid column structure that would maximize content across devices. And then because we're an image-oriented company, we had to find a right balance between graphics, HTML, SEO, and performance. And then in terms of engineering, we used a responsive design based on media queries and CSS3. We didn't worry about the device, like I said, just focused on the size of the screen. We were going to dump our MDOT platform, bring everything under one code base and one analytics. And that allowed us to put as much control in the hands of marketing as possible. If we need a new web page, let's say about 3 weeks ago, we got the license for Elvis Presley. Great, let's launch. 7 products. I need, an entertainment navigation. I need a catalog header with a picture of Elvis. I need all the products in a product view. I need some SEO copy to go at the top, and we'll have that in 2 hours. It's literally how long it takes. And then we wanted to make it easy to test. So we took those 6 years of learning, took about 6 months to plan it, and then we built it in 6 weeks. About 1,500 hours, about 10 people. And another of my favorite isms, innovation is rewarded, execution is worshipped. You gotta get it done. So the first thing I would say is when you get to this phase, make sure the person who can put the kibosh on the whole thing has signed off. Whoever that may be, don't be going down like, hey, we're ready to launch. Let's go show that to our ownership team. We did that once. We will never do that again. And then we set out the layouts. We identified all the templates we were going to need. We set the grids for each possible screen size. There were 5 screen sizes. We identified every page for every template. We set down the details of every element in those grids. It was a hell of a spreadsheet. We determined who was going to do what so we didn't step all over each other. Of course, we're all in a space of, not much bigger than this room. And then we had to manage it, so keep calm and communicate. Wasn't always easy to keep calm, but we managed. So we have an amazing group of people at Fathead. I would say everybody in the entire organization is amazing, but this speed team is made up of 12 people. They come from marketing, so design, CRM, content, IT for development and QA, project management, and client services. We never forget to keep somebody on that team who's talking to customers every day on the phone. So that group is small enough to work. It is big enough to get it done. And we have met for an hour twice a week for 6 years. We talk tactics. We talk through the wireframes and the business rules for every project. We address any technical challenges that are likely to come up. And then we figure, is this the right design? Is this going to be usable? We called it the SPEED team originally, by the way, because we needed to act fast. But since then, we've turned it into an acronym that stands for Stunning, Profitable E-commerce, Engineered and Delivered. So this is literally a screen capture from one of the spreadsheet pages. You'll see homepage, top level category landing pages, product type landing pages, and this went on and on and on for every template. This is how it's going to lay out in 5 column, 4 column, 3 column, 2 column. Notice we never did a 1 column because we thought, oh, you know, that's the phone. You know, it'll just be 1 column. Except, of course, you can't not put that much content on a phone. So then we had to work through, well, what are we going to show? What are we going to hide? What order are we going to put it in? I will tell you, it is still what we test the most. It is still the most challenging. I will also tell you that that 2 column layout did not work at all. We thought we were going to like move the navigation to another part of the page from everything else. It just doesn't work. So we ended up with a hybrid between a 1 column and a 3 column, and it worked out really well. Those are the sorts of things that the speed team handles. Here's the nitty-gritty. This is like what we did for every page. Grid 1 gets this. Here's the copy. Here's the image that goes into it. Here's what the call to action button is going to say. And then we also create slices of products that go on pages to kind of, if we don't have enough room to show all the products, or we want to highlight or what's on sale or whatever, we have these. And I'll show you what some of this looks like. We also, because we were shutting down the previous version of the site, we had built pages so there were active URLs out there for hundreds and hundreds of pages, and we had to step back and say, do we need all these pages? So we went through our analytics, we looked at how much revenue, how many visitors we got, and if it wasn't performing, we redirected it to one of our new pages. And the person who got that job was our chief marketing officer. She spent a weekend in the tool doing that for us. That's a team effort. So this is what it looks like in action today. And I'll show you these individually, but you can sort of see, you know, we used to be that middle one, 3 columns wide. By the way, that is the default. If for some reason the media query fails, we don't know how big your screen is, we will do that unless it's a phone. So you can sort of see the content just shifts around. The 4 column view is kind of funky. It has an extra widget that isn't required anywhere else, so it's always fun to figure out, like, who gets that? You know, is that going to be like Major League Lacrosse? Is that going to be, you know, somebody that only gets shown to 20% of our traffic? We did not immediately have the kind of tracking in place that we should have. We launched this in October of last year. First thing we did after the holidays ended in January was we put Omniture tagging in place for column views. So we now get all of our KPIs by what people see. That was enlightening. So here's what we know so far. The 5 column view, this is for widescreen monitors. I wish everybody shopped on a widescreen monitor. It's only 6.5% of our traffic, though. It is our highest revenue per visitor. It is our highest average order value. It is our highest conversion rate. People search less, find more. If they are also on a Mac, they spend like 50% more. It's just amazing. So we're able to drill down like through all of this stuff. 4 column, about 18% of the traffic, not surprisingly, is the next most productive. Not necessarily an average order value, but that's okay. 3 column view, still over 40% of our traffic. This is what we used to have, right? 3, essentially, that's 960, 1,000 pixels, whatever. 3rd highest revenue per visitor. But see, compare this to our old homepage, right? You still have a big splash image, but now you have search that's visible. You have SEO copies up high on the page for Google and Bing to read. We keep it fun. We have all the proper H tags throughout this. Lots of navigation, call to action. We like it. 2 column view. Now we leave the navigation in place. We just shrink down the splash image, because all the other images are basically 1 column wide. So they tile anywhere you want them to. We just have to reduce, we call the big one a 2x2 and the little one a 1x1. And in our HTML, at the top of the page, it says, If the screen's this big, go get this image. If the screen's this big, go get that image. So our designers, every time we do a promotion, create 2 images. And they create 5 sizes of banners. And they just swap in and out. 1 column view, 28%. But unlike our old mobile site, at least you see a product. You have a call to action. And notice how the menu is really compressed. It's just menu and cart. How many items are in your cart? There's the menu. The menu is very different because it's all touch friendly. So the spacing is big. We've played around a lot with this. But whereas on a desktop, we have all kinds of links in the navigation. Here, we just get to the essential stuff. So how did the consumer respond to this? Well, you know, we had a problem with gender gap. Not so much anymore. And that isn't because we built a responsive web design, it's because we rebranded. We changed our advertising, but we kept it that way after we launched. See, it's still pretty 50-50. And then 4C told us, man, when you go big like this and you completely change your website and go to responsive design, you're gonna see a drop in satisfaction scores, or not. And we didn't. We didn't. So here's the bottom line. I'm comparing first half of 2012, no responsive site. First half of 2013, responsive site. Non-phone devices, conversions up 17%. Revenue per visitor, 15%. Total revenue of 25%. Phone, where our traffic has grown just in the last year by 275%. Our conversion rate is up 90%. Our revenue per visitor is up 70%. And our revenue is up over 500%. So, post-game, you know, it was great because we had to think through the whole scope of the project. We had a really good guide that everybody on the team could use. Our marketing team can now run the site and let developers focus on features that are going to innovate and do new things. We didn't have a great solution, like I said, for 2-column view, so we had to figure that out. We also did not initially have a very good solution for our promotional banners, and we had to fix that really quickly because we were heading into the holiday season. We also made our QA process a lot more difficult. Now it's not just browsers and operating systems, it's every column view. So when we send off new ideas to test with High-C, it also now takes them 3 times longer to get all the QA links, but I think that's worth it. So, things that we're working on now, we do a lot of testing on 1-column view. We've really stepped up our column-specific reporting so we can sort of measure that. We did add satisfaction surveys now to phone and tablet, which we had not been doing before. And we found out, like, when we run ads on TV, our phone traffic goes like this, but not our phone conversion rate. The conversion rate happens over on desktop still. So, just again, it may not be for you. Have a goal in mind. Observe, ask, and test. Have a detailed plan, and make sure you know how you're going to measure it. And you'll hit the mark. Like I said, you just got to prepare like hell. Trust yourself. Expect the unexpected.